So in this video, we're going to talk about coterminal angles. So we first off want to remember what a standard position is for an angle. So if you have an angle, standard position means that your angle starts here. The first part of your angle starts on the positive x-axis, and then it's going to, the other part of the angle comes off of there and rotates around. And so you could have an angle that goes this way. You might also have an angle that starts here, but maybe goes in the clockwise direction, right? Remember, one is positive, one is negative. And so coterminal angles are two angles. So two angles in standard position with the same initial and terminal sides. So, for example, right, if we have, say, I have this one angle and maybe it starts here and it goes here, and let's say that's 45 degrees, right? Some coterminal angles, another coterminal angle might be the angle that starts along this line here, so the same initial side, goes all the way around and now comes and stops. And so if you were looking at that, it would be 360 plus another 45, which would be 405 degrees. You might have an angle that starts here, and maybe it swings the other direction. So maybe it swings this way and then stops here. And in that case, that's negative 315 degrees. So all of those angles are coterminal angles. And so it's important to be able to understand when angles are coterminal with each other, because as we go forward into this course, angles that are coterminal with each other are going to have some of the same properties, so similar properties with each other. So the easiest way to deal with coterminal angles is basically, if you start with an angle, you can add or subtract 360 degrees to get another angle that is coterminal with it. So in my example here, right, if you think about it, if I had 45 degrees and I added 360 degrees, that's how I got that 405 degree, that green angle. If I had 45 degrees and then I subtracted 360 degrees, that's how I got that negative 315 degrees. So that's kind of the strategy to use. So for example, find an angle between 0 degrees and 360 degrees that is coterminal with 510 degrees. So we want to bring it down, right? So we're just going to take 510 degrees. We're going to subtract off 360 degrees. And so if you take 510 minus 360, we get 150 degrees. 150 degrees does in fact lie between 0 and 360. If it didn't, we would just keep going. So, you know, if you had an angle that was like maybe 1,000 degrees, you might have to subtract 360 more than once, and that's okay. You might also see problems written in radians, right? So find an angle between 0 and 2 pi that is coterminal with 4 pi over 3. So 4 pi, no, wait a minute. 4 pi over 3 is the answer. We're going to get to that. That is coterminal with, I wrote down the wrong thing, minus 2 pi over 3. Okay, so again, we want some number that is between 0 and 2 pi. So I think about that, you need a number that's between 0 and 2 in front of your pi. So negative 2/3 is not a number that's between 0 and 2. Just like we add or subtract 360. So remember, adding or subtracting 360 is the same as 2 pi radians, right? So we would either add or subtract 2 pi radians. So in this case, we're going to add because we're trying to get from that negative value up to some number between 0 and 2 pi. So we're going to have negative 2 pi over 3. We're going to add 2 pi radians to that. Now, to be able to add these, right, either you can, in your calculator, add negative 2/3 plus 2. If you want to do it by hand, you have to make a common denominator. So you're going to have to put over 1 to make a fraction first, and then multiply top and bottom by 3. So in this case, we're really going to be adding minus 2 pi over 3 plus 6 pi over 3. And that turns out to be 4 pi over 3, which I had already showed you guys, right, a second ago. But that's how we get that answer.